Hey everybody, Tim here, GraymanPOTA, amateur radio call sign, November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot. Well, it's cold outside, and as like most people, things tend to slow down. I don't get to do an opportunity to go out and do a whole lot of outdoor activations during this time of year. So what I did was I started ordering some different kits and things like that. Stuff for me to do on the bench in the wintertime when it was just really not fun to go out and operate. So what I wanted to do is go ahead and talk about the 5.5 amp do-it-yourself, and that's the key thing, DIY 5.5 amp hour battery kit from DenCo. Reached out to Dennis, and he's currently, at the time of this recording, it shows that he is sold out. So what I would suggest is just to reach out to Dennis on his social media, and I'm going to put links to that down below. But reach out to them, let them know you're interested, and he can get you on a list and let you know when they're going to be in stock. But this is a nice little battery. Like I said, it's a 5.5 amp hour battery. It is kind of limited in the sense that it's really designed to do a couple things, and that's QRP radios. If you needed to run your GraymanPOTA off 12 volts, this would be a good thing for it. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get to the bench. Let's get this thing opened up, take a look what's inside, and start building the battery. So like I mentioned, the battery is from DenCo Enterprises. If you follow most of the ham radio YouTubers, you should be familiar with Dennis. Let's go ahead and get this opened up. Let's see what's inside the box and go from there. I will put a link to this in the description down below, and also a link to the instructions. And if I remember right, it's about a 20 plus page set of instructions. So looking over them, they were very, very detailed. And included in the box, obviously the invoice, and there is a set of basic instructions for the use of it. Not much different than most batteries. A QR code here for the build instructions. Like I said, they're on his website and they are very detailed. Business card for Dennis. Obviously this right here adds, points to the thing. Okay, got a nice well-wrapped bag of bits. Looks like another sticker. We'll go into that here in just a minute. Now, one of the nice things about this, besides it being well packaged, is that this is kind of like an 80%, kind of like an 80% lower, right? The hard work is the framing, the batteries, the spot welding, the stuff like that. That's the hard part of this thing here, and Dennis does that for you. This kit's really designed for somebody that wants to get their hands on it and do a little bit more than just buying a battery, right? It's kind of satisfying and gives you a sense of accomplishment to be able to do these kind of things. And, like I said, this is I think a great kit for somebody that's starting out and wants to kind of feel like they're doing something, towards their own enjoyment in the hobby. And so I think this is a good starter kit for people to get going with. All right, so we've got the battery pack, the frame. There's protective stuff on here that I think we'll need to use later if I remember right from the directions. So make sure you save all that. Inside the parts kit, oopsies. Don't do what I just did. So I just accidentally scored the shrink wrap. So we'll set that aside. If I need to get some more, I will. These are some cards that actually go over the ends of the battery when it's wrapped up. Anderson power pole connectors. You will need some tools, and those are laid out in the directions and on the sheet. Some wire and some other things, some other shrink wrap. This is the BMS, and this is what's gonna regulate your power coming out, but also provide protection for charging. So that is there. And remember, having the sticker on the battery will automatically give you a 5.9 everywhere you make a contact. This is an important label. Oddly enough, I don't know if you guys have tried traveling with batteries. One, they have to be in the cabin with you, so they need to be in a carry-on bag. And it's, it's no different, even if you're, if carrying one like a battery pack for your phone or your tablet or whatever. Those have to be on you in the cabin of the plane. But things like this, what's the difference between this and a finished battery? This sticker right here. That right there will be enough that when TSA looks at that, they go, oh, okay, it's a manufactured battery versus, oh, it's a homebrewed battery. And this really isn't a homebrewed battery. All the heavy lifting is done for you. But that does make a difference, so make sure you get that on there. Don't throw that away. First things first, we know what we've got here. Let's go ahead and break open the directions. Okay, first step is to remove and carefully remove and set aside this tape. I believe it's called Kapton, K-A-P-T-O-N. What we want to do is remove it, and we're going to set it off to the side, and we want to make sure it doesn't get damaged because we are going to use it again. Additionally, there is black electrical tape, presumably over the negative terminal, and red tape over the positive terminal. So looking at the batteries, just to give you a kind of an indication. And if you think about a AA, AAA, C size, D size battery, you've got the flat side, which is the negative, and the button. Usually it sticks above the top of the battery, but the button is the positive. And so this is the same way. These batteries are wired in series. So we go from the positive side, and this is where we have our terminal. And from the back of that battery, we've got a strip that's welded on that goes from the negative of the first battery to the positive of the second battery. And then you flip it over. As we flip this over, you'll see that we have another strip that's welded on from the negative side of the second battery to the positive side of the third battery. And if we flip this over again, we see that we've got negative side of the third battery and the positive side of the fourth battery. And then our negative terminal is welded onto the negative side of the fourth battery. So what does that give you? That gives you 4 batteries that are in series with each other. Their voltage is cumulative, meaning that this one adds to this one, which adds to this one, which adds to this one, for a total of the 4 individual batteries. So if we were to turn on our multimeter here, and this is a Tessman auto ranging multimeter. I actually did a video about this. So if we measure from the positive terminal to the negative terminal of the battery pack, we have 12.72 volts, and this is a 12.82 volts. So that's within the plus or minus 10%. If we were to go a little bit different here and measure from the positive terminal of the first battery to the negative terminal of the first battery, you'll see that we have roughly 3.3 volts in it. So 3.3 volts times 4. If we go to the negative terminal of the third battery, we're roughly reading 9.9 volts now. So as you can see, as we go to each battery, we are adding or adding the total power available from each cell. So the directions, they do want you to go ahead and remove this tape too. Be very careful when you pull it up. The terminal lead that comes over the end is, you could easily pull it out. And obviously he wants you to save all these because you're going to reuse them when you put this all together. All right, so now that we've got those steps done, he wants you to go through and use some fine sandpaper and kind of just scuff these strips up. There'll be areas where you're going to be soldering. Where you're going to be soldering connectors and leads to. And so I don't know which ones or if all of them, but it's not going to hurt to do them all. Just kind of do them here in the middle. Same thing in the leads here. So they are scuffed up. Okay, so the next thing they want you to do is blob some solder up, and he wants you to put a fair amount on the lead. So this is where the BMS is going to connect. So you want to make sure you get a good solid touch with your iron on the tab there. We want that solder to not just lay on the surface. We want that solder to become part of that surface. We want to go ahead and add some solder to this point right here in the middle of the bus bar. Right here, and then we're going to flip it over and we're going to do the same thing. So in the middle of the bus bar between the two batteries. Now this doesn't need to be as much solder, so don't hold it there as long. All right, and then a little dab will do you here on the other side. So small dabs of solder on both terminals in the middle of the bus bar on that side, and then in the middle of the bus bars on this side here. All right, so we want to set the battery with the terminal sides up, and in this package we had a piece of wire, a red wire, a small zip tie, small section of shrink wrap, and then two 3M pieces of adhesive. So we'll peel the backs off, and we're going to stick them just right here in the middle, right on top of the battery. All We'll do that with the second one, so you'll want both the center batteries to have There we go. All right, so now that that's well seated, we'll go ahead and peel the top side off. You want to make sure that when you're laying the battery pack towards you, you have the terminals on this side. This side's going to be the positive side. This is going to be the negative side. When you put your BMS down, you want to make sure that the leads that are coming off there go towards the negative side, and the jack goes to the positive side. And you're going to just want to set that right on top of those foam pieces, and then just give it a little push there. Make sure that that's well seated. So this says to cut the end off. You're going to want to put the piece of shrink wrap tubing over the black lead, and it says you want to strip off about one centimeter, and I just kind of marred the silicone jacket there. I measured it. But if I put it in my strippers, as you can see, that's pretty much right there. And just kind of twist that. So you'll want to get the Anderson power poles. And I'll got a good bite, and I want you to put the black end on. And I'll tell you what, for the life of me, I couldn't tell you how to do these things. I always mess them up. There we go. Okay. Black lead is on. So the next step is to take the blue lead. What we need to do is bring it over here and kind of measure what we need to cut off, and what we're going to do is attach it to that blob that we soldered on to the terminal. So we'll just cut that off. Our wire strippers. Okay. All right. So we need to take the connector that we got. It's got 4 red leads on it and 1 black. Need to plug that into the top here, into the BMS. Push it until it clicks. And then what we need to do is take the negative lead, bring it around, and essentially measure to the spot where we put the spot of solder on the terminal. Okay. Measure it. Cut. All right, we'll just want to strip off of just a little bit, probably about half. And okay. Negative is done. Now the next wire is this first wire. So you have the negative black wire. So you want to take the very first wire right next to the black. We're going to bring it over and bring it under. Same thing, we just want to kind of bring it over here, and we are going to attach it to the solder on the bus bar. So we just need to cut it. Strip a little bit. Okay. All right, so the next red wire, it's going to be the third, or it's going to be a third wire from the side with the negative wire. But so black, first red goes here, second red comes around, and we're going to actually do this on the other side in the center. So we'll need to just kind of bring it around and measure. So what we want to do is make sure we have the BMS up on top, and you want to rotate it so it points towards you. And what we want to do is take that third red wire from the black, or would be the fourth from the left side there, and bring it around, and we're going to want to solder it right here. So the same thing, we'll just kind of measure it. Cut it. A little strippy strip. All right, and back over here on the positive terminal, we want to come up and connect to the blob that we put on the top, not the one on the tab. So cut that. So we've got all of our wires of the BMS now connected. We need to take our red wire and bring it up here, put an end on it, mate it with our black, run it through the shrink wrap, bring it up here, and then connect it to this terminal. So first thing I want to do is just go ahead and strip it. But all right, just like mouth on stream. You don't want to crimp. Well, somewhere in there, the stupid camera decided to stop recording. So I think the last thing that was in the other video was me basically putting the end of that. So essentially what you want to do is mate your two together. Bring the red wire through the shrink wrap, bring it along the side of the BMS, and then solder it into the terminal tab on the positive lead. Now that we've got that all wired up together, and we can put our multimeter on there, black to black, red to red, and we are reading 12.71 volts at the connector. So everything seems to be working from that standpoint. So let's continue on. The electrical tape that we pulled off in the beginning, we want to bring it over and cover this up. Same thing with the black. Just kind of want to cover those terminals. Tape that was over the terminals from before, we want to make sure we get back on there. Just to cover this up, and what that does is it provides a barrier. Okay. So the next thing we need to do is create a kind of end caps for this. All right, and what we want to do is, these are adhesive kind of cards. You've seen them on other batteries. But what we want to do is fold this in such a way, just kind of sit over the end. We'll pull the adhesive off just to cover that up. And then that will provide the, the end caps for your battery. So I would say, cover, go about an inch in. Put a nice crease in there. I might want to put that one on top. Okay. Peel the adhesive backing off. Okay. That just provides a clean edge for when the shrink wrap goes on for the ends. So roughly the same thing here on the other side. We'll want to really fold it about 1 inch in from each side. Okay, now we've got both ends closed up. All right, a couple more steps here. So now that we've got the ends on, what we want to do is, I'll put our shrink wrap on here. All right, get everything inside of your shrink wrap evenly done. All right. We just want to take our heat gun and just work our way around the surface here. Don't get too drastic yet. We want to get it tightened up a little bit. As you can see, this is pretty good stuff here. It doesn't take a lot of heat. All right, well, that, my friends, looks like a completed battery. This is really nice. So it's reading 12.64 volts right now, and these are inline meters are great if you are using batteries out in the field for you to track how much load you've got on, how much current you're pulling. I would definitely recommend getting one of these. I'll put a link to this down below. All right, that makes us official, allows us to get through TSA, because whether or not this looks like a homemade do-it-yourself battery, as long as it's got something like that on there, they don't care. The only other thing I would, I think I'm going to do at this point is, you know, I guess I'm not too concerned about that. I don't think I'm going to replace this. I don't think it's going to be an issue. What I think I am going to do though is add some stickers here. 2 came in the kit. Nobody will ever know. So don't tell them. All right. And then I'll probably put the other one along the side here. And the only other thing I'd probably do is I'll probably put my stink down here on the bottom with one of my stickers. Yeah, I always try to mark my batteries. I put stickers on everything. Just because sometimes, you know, batteries may look alike, and what that does is it makes it a little less likely that somebody might walk off with your battery accidentally, because you've got it well marked. Because these batteries are good batteries, so I'm sure I'm not the only one with a DenCo battery that'll be out at Winter Field Day. So, all right, that's it in a nutshell there. Okay, that is the DenCo 5.5 amp hour battery kit. I think this is a good project to start out with if you're new to this kind of stuff, soldering and everything like that. Most of the heavy lifting is done for you, so you're really just making connections and buttoning it all up. So I will put links to this battery down below, to the directions, and to any of the tools that I used here today. If you like this video, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this content with your friends. And until one day when we have an opportunity to meet on the air, I have a video right over here that I think you might be interested in.